Your English teachers tried to warn you. What do you think all those essays were for? They knew that one day you'd come across a man searching for meaning in the color of characters' clothes. What am I supposed to do? Handmaid's Tale, Schindler's List, Submarine. Everywhere I look, coats are turning red. That one too. In 500 words or less. Why? Sorry, that one's for God. Why are there so many red coat-cladded feminine characters across culture, hiding in plain sight like the wardrobe department's own little Wilhelm scream? It goes international with Memories of Murder, In the Mood for Love, and the Three Colors trilogy. And today, Hollywood gets the hot seat, but that's only the beginning. Every kid grows up on Little Red Riding Hood. There's a famous musician literally called Girl in Red. More on that later. But why? Is there an explanation? I asked this on TikTok a couple years ago and got hundreds of comments with theories. A concrete answer: you're better off searching for a salad bar at a monster truck rally. But theories? Oh, we've got some theories. But it's just a red jacket, you say. And to that, well, I'll let them respond. Lay down the tuba, Debbie Downer. Let's have some fun in the wandering. I once worked on a TV commercial where we spent an hour professionally discussing what color cheese should be. Every choice on screen is intentional. We'll keep this a little gender fluid and briefly nod to some masculine examples, but let's hold the focus as much as we can on feminine characters. It's easy to spiral on color theory, so we'll keep to costuming choices and what we can say without saying a word. As a peace offering to our literal friends, let's get the practical explanation out of the way. It's red, the big one, the oldest color to appear in our art, the first color found in the textiles of ancient cultures. It's everywhere in life. Of course it'll be everywhere on screen. Add that it's the warmest tone and the quickest shorthand for a director searching for visual contrast, and you might think you've reached the end of this road. But to stop there, you have to assume that the costume department is just a group of drones looking at a color wheel and pointing out the opposites, tossing people on screen in their street clothes and heading home to beat the traffic. But everything you see on screen is an active choice by artists telling you a story. Costume designers are always trying to tell us something about the characters themselves and the world they live in. And like all their art, they reference back. It might be hard to find the original why here, but just like a leather jacket worn by a cool character becomes a shorthand to audiences the next time they see one, every red coat is living on top of a century's worth of subtext. As we dig for an answer, it's a clown's never-ending handkerchief of references referencing references. But we'll pick a few and try and figure out what they're saying. Audrey Hepburn is a member of the on-screen Redcoat Club, and quietly the reason for the most famous redcoat in Hollywood history, one she herself never wore. While on set of her final film in 1989, she began to tell a story, a memory, a day of her life from her time in Europe during World War II. She told of a moment at a railway station, as people were loaded onto trains set for tragedy, where something caught her eye. As Steven Spielberg listened on, Hepburn recounted an image of a lone little girl that stuck with her 40 years later, wandering in a sea of sadness, wearing a tiny red coat. 5 years later, Spielberg would go on to direct Schindler's List and translate that moment into a scene now seared into our memories. An otherwise entirely black and white film, only letting color through for a red coat and a little girl wandering the Krakow ghetto under siege. As horror surrounds, he forces us to look. And with it, the red coat comes to stand for a shedding of our own innocence, a crossing into a new realm of reality. Having redcoats stand in for victims of tragedy and innocence is a common use. In Bong Joon-ho's masterpiece, Memories of Murder, all the victims of an uncaught South Korean serial killer are tied together by the red they wear, making us, the audience, anxiously see any woman in a red coat as a victim in waiting, fear hitting with every glimpse of the color. In Bridge to Terabithia, the little girl Leslie is last seen in a red jacket in the rain before the audience is served a straight shot of depression, no chaser, adding to the Little Red Riding Hood lineage of the redcoats and childhood tragedy. An offshoot of this is Stephen Yeun's character in Nope, who dons a red jacket as he exploits his famous childhood traumatic experience years later. There's also a loss of innocence in less violent ways that the red coat plays a part in. A loss of innocence in a coming of age, leaving childhood behind way. In Turning Red, May fights to control her transformation into a giant red panda as she learns to deal with adolescence and the cultural and societal expectations that come with it. She's always seen in a red sweater throughout. Jordana, in the Alex Turner core indie movie Submarine, is always seen in a red jacket as she navigates adolescent love and growing up while dealing with a mom with cancer. She dips her toe in the Scarlet Letter branch of the red coat when another boy labels her a slut, but we'll come back to that later. Juno can often be found in a red coat as she grapples with balancing an accidental pregnancy with high school and a quickly changing life. And while maybe not fully a jacket, the little girl Olive in Little Miss Sunshine is always seen in red. A jersey, a dress, a sweater vest, which I'm going to count on a technicality. And the movie is about a family dedicating themselves to protecting her innocence and childlike wonder amongst a slew of chaos. This coming of age, Innocence Lost, is simply where it begins. This is the poem A Red Shirt by Margaret Atwood. My sister and I are sewing a red shirt for my daughter. She pins, I hem, we pass the scissors back and forth across the table. Children should not wear red, a man once told me. Young girls should not wear red. In some countries it is the color of death, in others passion, in others war, in others anger, in others sacrifice. Of shed blood, a girl should be a veil, a white shadow, bloodless as a moon on water. Not dangerous. She should keep silent and avoid red shoes, red stockings, dancing. Dancing in red shoes will kill you. 7 years after writing that poem, Margaret Atwood gifted us her own iconic red coat in The Handmaid's Tale. A central symbol in the book and later TV series, these coats bring us to another way that they're used in culture, to talk about power, for control, speaking for the oppressed and the oppressor, whether through boys' politics or uncaged rage. Every end of the political spectrum claims red in some context. 20th century communists were branded by the Red Scare, democratic socialists claimed the Red Rose, and there's the Republican in red, and also the activists of Extinction Rebellion placing red wraiths as an icon for their resistance. Costume designers have dressed Jackie O, Princess Diana, and Nancy Reagan in red coats, including Ruth E. Carter. Carter also used red suits to show power in the fictional world of Wakanda as she designed the guards' uniforms. Carter drew from the red shuka coats of the Maasai tribes of Kenya, which uses them to symbolize courage and strength, but also to scare off predators, like lions, even at long distances, to symbolize the threat they can come to represent. Because there's also a quiet danger in red, nature telling us not to eat the poison hidden in the red toad. In some male characters in red jackets, there's a presumption of owed power, which when unreceived morphs into violence and rage, essentially a boiled-over desire for control and the downfall from that. Take Tyler Durden in Fight Club, and to some degree his inspiration in Rebel Without a Cause. I wonder if America's national story of rebellion against the redcoats of the British Army partially paints how we see the clothing in the context of power, and why one element of their use is in showing us excessive control, the wielding of it, as well as those under its thumb. In The Handmaid's Tale, their use signifies one's place in a totalitarian dystopia, one where women are branded into the systems of oppression by the red coat they wear. In The Scarlet Letter, less a coat than an accessory, the colors used as an example to control future behavior, to scold women's romance and passion that does not fit under societal norms. And look, I haven't seen Pretty Little Liars, but it clearly draws on Scarlet Letter for inspiration, and one of the characters who is always watching is genuinely named Red Coat. Wielding power for uniformity and to exact revenge on norm-breaking women is one way that control and red tie together, a tale as old as Eve and the apple. And like Eve, control and power are always at play with desire, the next way redcoats are often used in film. Desire is its own world. Desire often shows itself in love and lust and expressions of sexuality throughout Hollywood. Yes, it's in the restraint, the yearning, but also in the release. You know the connection red and romance hold. You've walked through a CVS in February. It's the coat in Wong Kar-wai's In the Mood for Love, a movie drenched in red, where passion overflows alongside love and longing. The red costuming lets the characters convey the feelings they never fully express. That relationship between sexuality and the fight between control and desire, represented in women in red coats, makes its way into queer culture as well. A world where love and lust in the past had to be hidden. It's easier to live openly now, but even parts of modern lesbian culture, intentionally or not, nod back, especially through the indie band Girl in Red. A couple of years ago, Do You Listen to Girl in Red was the same as the shorthand used by gay men of the 1960s asking, "Are you a friend of Dorothy's?" a way to ask one question in place of the real one, to allude to desire in the context of a culture that historically has tried to control it. But a girl in a red coat is now co-opted as a symbol for expression of sexuality. One of the most unambiguously LGBT characters in animated cinema recently is Katie in Mitchell's vs. the Machines. And Katie Mitchell spends the whole movie as a girl in red. It can be romantic love and also maternal love, or both, like Evelyn, Everything Everywhere All at Once. In a red jacket, she realizes the love she's let slip through her hands, sitting in the wreckage of Wayman handing her divorce papers and the sense that her daughter might be gone for good after unwittingly pushing her away by not wholeheartedly accepting who she is. And that's when she decides to recapture that love and put it back out there. Red being the loss, expression, and rekindling of love. The use of red coats never do just one thing. They draw from it all. Before Audrey Hepburn told of the girl at the train station, she too played a woman wearing a red coat in the 1963 movie Charade. The couple she wears throughout, to me, represent loss and lust and love and control, all within the same movie. Three Colors Trilogy's final film, Red, is an exploration on how much humanity can fit inside a single color. The lead is often seen in a red sweater as she works her way through every shade it takes in French life, through love, loss, authority, desire, and passion. Maybe red is used because of how much can be packed inside this single color. The mountain of meaning and context it lives on lets each person create their own way in. And that, mixed with red's ability for strong visual contrast, make it a shortcut to a whole world of feelings. When creating history's first dyes and paints, early humans mixed the minerals of their lived-in world, ochre, cinnabar, iron oxide. They built red from the environment around them, each specific hue shaped by what we find and what we see. No one culture draws from the same source, but all see something similar. There is no right way to look at red. All you can do, like a Rothko, is immerse yourself in the color and how it feels, and create the meaning later. Thanks for watching. I'm Ryan Harper. This is Niche Nonsense.